Hello everybody, Trevor here. Now, do any of you guys remember that video where I reviewed every single Thomas movie ever made? Well, there are some things in my Thomas Magic Rail review that I either forgot to mention or that I intentionally left out in the first place because mainly I wanted to make that video at least 40 minutes long or less. But I'm here to talk about them today. So be sure to buckle up once again to hear my further thoughts on Thomas and the Magic Railroad, as well as the leaked DC controversy, which I'll discuss later in the video. The first thing I want to discuss is whether the first Thomas movie is canon to the series or not. I can understand why many Thomas fans consider it non-canon, mainly because it had magic in it, and that the Railway series is meant to be taken as realistically as possible. But in my honest opinion, it is canon. Why? There are two reasons alone. 1. Diesel 10 made several return appearances after that, including Calling All Engines and Day of the Diesels, just to name a couple. Second of all, Sam Wilkinson himself added many of the movie's locations on the 2014 Sora Island map, which in my opinion is my favorite version of the TV series map because it's far more detailed than the later versions. They also brought back Lady and Calling All Engines, but that was only in a dream sequence, and I kinda wish they brought her back in full CGI along with Splatter and Dodge, because they had so much potential. I mean, I would like kids these days to know who they are and when they were first introduced. Next, I will be talking about the few things that I don't like about the film. One of those instances is the title itself. Although it does tell me that it's a Thomas film, and that's a good thing, but the only problem is, Thomas didn't appear that much in it. It was mainly the human actors who got the bigger roles, and I actually agree with the majority of people on the movie's title because it's kind of misleading. It's not as bad as Tentacolino's title, but they still could have picked a better title than Thomas and the Magic Railroad. I think the movie should have been called Shining Time Station the Movie, because that's basically what it is. Not only that this is based on Thomas and Friends, but it's also based on the American spin-off Shining Time Station. And the human characters are pretty much the main protagonists in the film, while the Sora engines like Thomas are considered side characters. So yeah, I think Shining Time Station the movie would have been a much better title than Thomas and the Magic Railroad. No offense to Britt Allcroft. Another thing I thought could have made the movie a lot better was giving Splatter and Dodge a better role than just existing to sell toys. I remember learning that in one of the original scripts, the two Diesel Shunters were never meant to turn their backs on Diesel 10. Instead, it would have been George the Steamroller. Yeah, he was going to be another one of Diesel 10's henchmen, and his job was originally going to be breaking down buffers to see which ones lead to the Magic Railroad, and as a reward, he would have been given a roller rink at Timmy's Sheds for all of his hard work. But unfortunately, his model never made it to Canada for filming, probably because they forgot to bring him over there, and as a result of that, he never made it past the storyboard stage. But that begs the question, why couldn't they use Splatter and Dodge to biff into the buffers to see which ones lead to the Magic Railroad instead? That way, they would have been given a proper role in the final cut instead of being cowards all the way throughout the movie. As I said before in the last video, I really can't hate this movie, mainly because it's a Thomas film, and it's from my childhood, so it's really hard for me to hate something that's nostalgic to me. And despite the movie's major flaws, I still enjoyed a lot of it, such as the soundtrack by Huey Mann, half of the voice cast for the engine, such as Eddie Glenn as Thomas. No offense to John Bell, as I just like Eddie Glenn as Thomas better, because I always picture Thomas as a youthful engine. And I even think the live-action cast did a really great job with their respective roles. And yes, even Doug Lennox as P.T. Boomer. And those are some of the reasons why I still give the movie a 7.5 out of 10 stars, while the director's cut gets an 8 out of 10 stars. Now let's talk about the DC leak controversy. If you don't know, in May of 2020, somebody illegally leaked the unfinished work prints of the film online. This pissed off a lot of people because everyone, including Britt Allcroft herself, really wanted the director's cut to be released on DVD and Blu-ray. Heck, Brodelcroft stated several times on Facebook demanding those leaks to be taken down, which I can relate because if someone illegally uploaded any of my content, I demand those idiots to take them down right away. Otherwise, I'll have to report them. And there are rumors going around that the 20th anniversary DVD/Blu-ray combo pack is going to have the director's cut, which may not be true because so far, there's no evidence that the director's cut will be released this year, and besides, this is a 20-year-old box office failure, so we may or may not get it this year. Like Brodelcroft and the rest of the Thomas fan base, I too want all of the original work prints to be released on DVD, including the P.T. Boomer scenes. And no, I'm not going to show any of the leaks in this video because I don't want any trouble. I don't want to be accused of copyright infringement. And yes, I agree that all those leaks should be taken down ASAP. I know Brodelcroft doesn't own the rights to the film anymore, but it's still her work. She worked very hard making the film as well as trying to release the original version on DVD and Blu-ray. And sorry to break this to you, Nick Starward, but Brodelcroft has every right to get upset about the illegal uploads because she's the one who created the film. And I get what you're saying. Leaks happen all the time, but this is still illegal. It's still copyright infringement. But it's not preventing the 20th anniversary DVD release from happening. The true reason why it's been delayed is because of the coronavirus pandemic that's been happening a lot lately. Thankfully, it's been pushed back to September of 2020, which I hope will stay that way because I really want to get it for my Thomas DVD collection. But we still don't know if the extended cut will be in it. I mean, I hope it will be released this year, or at least some aspects of it, because I want to see them in their original finished format, kind of like the 2015 update of the original P.T. Boomer chase sequence, instead of the unfinished version that's been leaked online. Oh, and to those who say that the director's cut doesn't exist, shut the fuck up! I'm looking at you, Eldom Tom, too. If the director's cut doesn't exist, then why are the unfinished work prints still archived on the internet? That'd be like saying that the extended cut of James Cameron's Avatar doesn't exist anymore. And about P.T. Boomer. Despite the leaks, I still think P.T. Boomer should have been in the final cut. Yes, I don't care what people like Gondar say about him because, think about it. In the movie, there are two main villains. One is Diesel 10, who believes in magic. The other is P.T. Boomer, who doesn't believe in magic. And they are from their respective realms. Also, they both teach us that the real world and Sodor are not always the safest places in the universe. They still have their dangers, and despite the two bad guys not making any connections until the climax, they are both after Lady, and that's why I think it's very interesting to see the two villains chasing after Thomas, Lady, and Burnett Stone in the end. Another reason why I still think Boomer should have been in the movie is because there are some scenes in the final cut that didn't make that much sense without him. For example, in the chase sequence, when Burnett Stone calls out, "No you won't because the magic you refuse to believe in will get the better of you," that line was actually more aimed at Boomer since he's the one who doesn't believe in magic, not Diesel 10, which makes perfect sense. Another instance was when Boomer blows up bits of Muffle Mountain in order to find and destroy Lady. The explosion caused Thomas to fall down Muffle Mountain, leading the old biker to chase after him and through the magic railroad portal. Heck, you can even find bits of it in the books. And to be quite honest, I don't think Boomer's that scary. He was just kinda silly, even for a cut character. There are other villains that I think are scarier than P.T. Boomer could ever be. And those are my honest thoughts on the character. Another thing that bugs me about critics of the film is that some of them complain that the engines' mouths don't move when they speak. What were you expecting? They're model trains! I'm looking at you, Doug Walker! The main reason why their lips don't move is because that's what the fans were used to at the time. And besides, CGI effects and stop motion are very expensive. Also, if they did decide to move their mouths, then production would take a lot longer. and it would probably make the movie worse than it already was. I mean, look at the sister series Tugs. They have individual voice actors too, and their mouths don't move when they speak, so why is Thomas the Magic Railroad any different? If there's one last thing I want to talk about, it would be this. Should Thomas the Magic Railroad get a full CGI remake? And to that I say, yes! But only if they take some elements from the director's cut, such as the scenes with P.T. Boomer and George the Steamroller. I mean, think about it. We got a full remake of the first 7 episodes of Season 1, known as The Adventure Begins, right? So, why not do a full CGI remake of the very first Thomas movie? And not only that you can fully animate the engine characters and Sodor, you can also fully animate the people too in full CGI form, such as Mr. Conductor and Burnett Stone. Now, here's my premise. Since Thomas is the narrator of Big World Big Adventures, why not have him be the narrator of this remake? And he can tell the whole story to all of his friends at Tima's Sheds, and to make this version more canon to the TV series, you could have Thomas say that he made the whole thing up and that there's no such thing as magic in real life. That way, we could end the debate whether Thomas the Magic Railroad is canon to the TV series or not. But wait, you say! Some of the original actors like Peter Fonda and Doug Lennox passed away a long time ago, so who is going to reprise their roles? Simple. You don't have to bring back the whole cast for this remake. You can just simply use the updated voice cast for the engines, such as Joseph May as Thomas and Christopher Raglan as Percy, as well as getting new actors to play the fully animated versions of the humans, such as Burnett Stone and Lily. But they don't have to look exactly like Peter Fonda, Mara Wilson, and all of the other original actors in the original 2000 film. They can just simply hire new ones to replace them. Besides, Mark Morgan would make an excellent Mr. Conductor. Those are my further thoughts on Thomas the Magic Railroad, as well as the DC leak controversy. Sorry if this video is a bit long, I just had a lot of things to say about this. And despite the unnecessary leaks, I still would like to get the extended cut on DVD and Blu-ray just to have a little side-by-side comparison between it and the theatrical version, which I grew up with. While I do understand why a lot of people hate the movie, and I'll try to respect that, but try to understand where I'm coming from, okay? Try to understand what I think could have made the movie a lot better than it already was. I mean, just because a lot of people hate a certain flick doesn't mean I have to hate it too. Everyone has the right to their own opinion, including you. And I would like to hear your honest thoughts on Thomas Magic Railroad. Do you like it like I do? Do you hate it? Or do you think it's okay? I'll try not to be too butthurt about it, because trust me, I tend to be butthurt sometimes when it comes to certain opinions like Thomas. And even if I am, I'll keep it quietly to myself, and try to think with an open mind. Oh, and to those who re-uploaded the unfinished work prints of the film, please take them down now! Not only you're disrespecting Burrellcroft and the people who worked on the film, but you're also spoiling the whole thing to people who want to see it badly, including me. Like I said, I know Britt doesn't own the rights to the film anymore, but it's still her work. She worked very hard making it. She wasn't trying to make a bad movie, okay? There are other kids' films that I think are far, far worse than Thomas and the Magic Railroad. The director's cut isn't perfect either, but I still think it's slightly better than the final cut in terms of certain plot points that are pretty important, as well as certain voices for the engine characters. And just because it's a flawed movie doesn't mean it should be forgotten. It doesn't mean that the movie should be burned or thrown away for all eternity. I'm glad this movie existed, because I also loved Shining Time Station growing up, and I have a lot of respect for Burrellcroft, whether for the better or worse. This is Trevor Davis, and I hope you have a great day.